This is pretty wild regarding Doom the Dark Ages, and this comes from a composer. And so if you don't know about Doom the Dark Ages, and of course everybody's sitting there going, why is it failing? Why is it failing? There's a lot of reasons why it's failed. Most of it's just, it's not that interesting of gameplay. There's nothing new to it. The gameplay stays the same throughout the entire deal, and they're trying to sell you a story like it's an RPG when this is a shooter, and so it's just not what people were looking for. There's nothing new to grip onto, and so of course, people just have already played this game, so why bother? And so there's another big portion about this where I'm hearing over and over again about the soundtrack, and the soundtrack's just lackluster. It doesn't inspire a lot of feeling, and people don't realize how much soundtracks really impact things a lot of the time. Soundtracks are some of the most important parts of TV, movies, video games. That's what makes a lot of things great. That's what stirs your emotions more than anything. I don't know if you've ever gone to different YouTube videos where you've watched TV without the soundtracks and all that. It's emotionally very, very flat. It's a very different experience. And if you've watched some of these sitcoms without the laugh tracks, it's kind of similar, right? And so these things stir and prompt your emotions. It's a big part of everything. And having a lackluster soundtrack is a big deal, and there seems to be a problem with it, which is crazier than it even looks like. Let's get into this statement regarding Doom Eternal in just a moment. Hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things in science fiction and fantasy and gaming here, my friends. I'm a science fiction and fantasy author myself. I want you to sign up for my newsletter. It's very important because I don't want to lose you guys. You never know what's going to happen with algorithms and things like that. Some days you find me, some days you don't. You might never see me again, and I like connecting with my community. Very, very important. So this is my newsletter. It's in the description below. You get 3 free books for signing up, a sci-fi book, a fantasy book, and a superhero graphic novel. I do comics. I'm very, very prolific, and I do storytelling, so that's why I understand the emotional elements of this very, very well. Thank you guys for being here. Sign up, of course. Hit the like and subscribe button anyway. I appreciate it. And let's get into this news right here. So the statement issued in response to id Software studio director Marty Stratton's Doom Eternal OST open letter, published on Reddit May 5th, 2020, right here. And this came from a couple of years ago, but it's very important to see this. I don't know how many people were checking this out as this game's come out right now, and that's why we're talking about it now. So Marty lied about the circumstances surrounding Doom Eternal's soundtrack. This is interesting. And used disinformation and innuendo to blame me entirely for its failure. Okay, this is from Mick Gordon. Afterwards, he offered me a 6-figure settlement to never speak about it. As far as I'm concerned, the truth is more important. Wow, that's a crazy amount of money. Marty's Reddit post severely impacted both my professional and personal reputation. In releasing this statement, I'm exercising my right to defend myself. It's a defense, not an unprovoked attack. The issue with extreme reluctance only after all of the attempts to resolve the matter have failed. This statement is not an excuse for a hate campaign. Acts of hate dished out online won't result in any positive change. In fact, it only makes things worse. So, my response is lengthy and detailed to prevent vague statements from turning into rumors and speculation. It's a direct response to Marty's false accusations. I will not name anyone outside of those mentioned in his open letter. Privacy to maintain the anonymity of others. I have used collective nouns such as management, id Software, and Bethesda to distinguish conversations between different teams. However, the collective noun should not be interpreted as a general attack on any group as a whole. Blah, blah, blah. I work as a contractor. Contracts are integral. In-game score is written specifically for an interactive music system, consists of hundreds, sometimes thousands of short audio files. The game's audio system plays these files in a sequence determined by the player's actions. Video in-game music contracts, iteration, OST. Okay, this is a huge, huge article right here. When you look at this, when I signed on, id Software handed me a music schedule that required 2 leveled scores per month. Tight, although not impossible. Whoever dreamt that plan did so in isolation because it quickly became apparent how disconnected it was from the actual game's development. Release was 2 years away. The schedule, however, demanded I deliver a steady stream of final music immediately. One of the game's key features was that the music was closely matched the gameplay. So aiding produced finished music for all levels months away didn't make sense. To have any hope of accomplishing that, I needed to rely on id Software to provide me with materials illustrating the music's intended purpose. Difficulties emerged early on when they couldn't provide those materials in a timely manner. Most levels were still getting blocked out or didn't exist. Fantasy combat puzzle design philosophy wasn't yet clear. People responsible for capturing gameplay footage were the only sometimes available, and unstable builds often made recording video hopeless. Details on boss encounters, cutscenes, menu design, game flow, story, lore, character arcs were still a year away. Sticking with the schedule, producing finished music when nobody could give me any idea of what to write, I tried. Doom Eternal was already heading in a new direction. My experience on Doom 2016 wasn't much help. So this was the composer for both of those games, by the way. And you got to remember, Doom 2016 was pretty epic on that level, right? So we had all these problems, contracts delay, etc. And here's proposing a solution. So he says, I should really say that I just started on blank, and it has really been packet-tight schedule, a scheduled meeting on Thursday where I'm hoping we can smooth out a little because it's currently insane and already causing issues. So there are already issues with this with Doom Eternal. There's zero wiggle room, and of course they were very upset with it. Marty then struck this down, causing problems. He said he was taking back from his reaction. In response, I said he seemed to misinterpret my proposal's intent, and the current strategy schedule rigidity would cause issues down the line. That firing an execution framework for achieving our overly ambitious goals was my only agenda. So pushing forward, he says, I tried my best at taking information from blockout videos, concept art, and text, but ultimately resorted to imagination to score levels from the future I couldn't yet see. The project's demands began to pile up. The schedule was into disarray. So then, of course, naturally, there's pay issues with the company right here. And, of course, that's happening. So now this person's working a crazy, insane schedule, not getting paid very well, having been paid since December 2018, 8 months ago, and he's still working on this stuff. This is crazy at this juncture. It shows the disorganization. It shows exactly how the people are treated who are actually the creators and the people who are actually doing, like, the real artistic work behind this sorts of stuff. And so this is what happens. This is where we're at these days. And the reason I'm leading up to this and the reason I'm covering this is because this does tie in to what we're seeing with the new Doom, the Dark Ages, and why it's not resonating so much, why it's not got a lot of depth, and why it doesn't have that emotional resonance. This is a huge deal right here, and this is exactly what happens with artistry every single time. The Doom Eternal soundtrack announcement. Marty announced Doom Eternal will release on the 22nd, 2019. The collector's edition was announced, which had a Doom Eternal soundtrack. The problem is pre-orders went on sale immediately, and a standalone OST was not in production at the time. This is crazy. E3 events are planned. There was no OST strategy. Marty's response threw me for reasons I didn't understand. He flatly denied me the contract, refused to do anything about the OST, said he didn't want to cause a distraction. A distraction? Did they announce that at E3, the largest gaming show of the year? This is a huge deal, taking pre-orders on this already, on this deal. So then, of course, they're working on crunching hard for finishing the game and the like. Then, of course, they get the delay because things are there. The mood turned sour. The money turned up at the end of November. My family and I were thankful it did. The first payment I'd received in 11 months. id Software stopped talking to me. The payment confirmed my role on the project had ended at this level. So they put him through a lot of problems. They had the OST problems. They had all this going on. And through all this into 2020, with all this going on, and this had become a huge issue. He says all previous attempts to engage id Software regarding OST were either shut down or ignored. Reaching out to them would be a total waste of time. I tried to circumvent the stonewall going on above Marty outside of id Software and directly to Bethesda to support my concerns and the OST contract. Here's some of his marketing requests right here. And you see that this gets really crazy. Then the OST gets delayed. And then the problems of this all have more and more issues. This gets so long. I'm going to put this in the description below so you can read the whole thing because it's really a fascinating read, my friends. And you can see that then this guy got mistreated. He got maligned. He got blacklisted. It was a huge mess because of this. And that's what happened with when you have an actual artist working on something and they put you on these crazy schedules. They don't give you the resources you need, the tools you need to do things because, of course, they're trying to cut costs and the like at these AAA studios. And that's where this is all at this juncture. So where does this leave us with the current iteration of Doom? Well, I mentioned the soundtrack as being a part of what makes this a lackluster experience, what makes it a non-emotional experience. When they're cutting corners with this, the current soundtrack is done by people who are not as good of creators at this juncture because they had the real artists, the real talent for Doom Eternal, for Doom 2016. And remember, this guy went back to that. Doom 2016, probably the best iteration of Doom out there. And of course, a lot of it has to do with the soundtrack and the music. And so this is like kind of a heady space right here. But when you get into this sort of thing and you've got the artists who are working on this, who are real artists, and then you see how the troubles go through with corporate and the like, For the next game, you cut back, you cut resources, you have people who are just code monkeys working on things rather than actually, developers who are artists trying to like change gameplay, trying to actually make their expressions seen in this sort of thing, to actually get the music going on this that makes the emotional scenes and the immersion so important in the games. You don't have that anymore. And so that's part of why it's so lackluster. That's why it's not resonating. That's why it's not going anywhere. They tried to make Doom into just something generic because there's two ways a corporation can go. They can let the artists go. They can have like the brand dictate things. You have to, with a AAA game, go somewhere in the middle if you're going to create something that's going to be lasting, that's going to be something that can compete in today's environment. And they decided to just go full, just skin suit, unfortunately. So interesting stuff right here. Like I said, I'll leave this in the description below because it's really a fascinating read. And you could see it even says it's a 58-minute read. Not going to do that because we're in a hurry. Or what was the writing excuse? You're in a hurry and we're not that smart. So I'll just summarize it for you like that, and you could read it yourself. Please check this out, guys. Hit the like and subscribe button if you're interested in my analysis on games and the like, and science fiction and fantasy. Sign up for my newsletter in the description below. Very, very important because, guys, I don't want to lose you. And you get 3 free books. It's a $50 value for nothing. You get a lot of entertainment and fun. Support independent media. Support independent creators. This is where we're at these days. Support real artists. That's what we're trying to build here, my friends, in this movement. And I appreciate you being here. We'll be back soon.